How has the translation industry evolved over the years? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. I hope you enjoyed last week's first episode of season 4. I'm back from holiday now. I was a week in Spain, recharged, got a lot of sun and a lot of beach and hiking. It was a beautiful time. And now I'm back with a very informational video for you guys. I'm going to talk about the past, the present and the future of translation. I think for all of us that work in the industry, it's important to know about the heritage, the history of our profession, so we can really identify with what we actually work in. So join me on this brief journey through time. So the journey of course begins in ancient times when translation first came into effect. It's an ancient profession. Already thousands of years ago, text and speech needed to be transferred to communicate within cultures, between cultures as well. So translating languages has been a very important aspect of human communication. Especially in ancient civilizations, for example, in the Mesopotamian era, in Egypt, in China, different languages created big challenges in trade, in politics, in diplomacy, and cultural exchanges. And early translators were crucial in the challenges in breaking down these barriers between different cultures. They were tasked with transcribing texts, transferring meaning, ideas, knowledge between different cultures. The beginning of translators as we know them. When societies evolved, so did the profession as a translator. Especially during the Hellenistic and the Roman eras, translating scientific material from Greek into Latin was extremely important in preserving ancient knowledge. The Western world always portrays the translation of the Bible from Hebrew into Greek as the first major translation work. We also learned that at university that this was considered the groundwork of translation as we know it. Around the 5th century onwards, only very few works of text were available in other languages because Latin was the popular language, right? So most of it was in Latin. The Renaissance then marked a very important point in the history of translation. Classical learning and especially the invention of the printing press revolutionized the transfer of knowledge. And during the 16th century, the printing press developed a lot, right? Especially the middle class came up, became much bigger. So the demand for written text, for new things to read for people increased significantly. And with that development, also the profession of translator shifted and became much more industrialized. The 19th century then marked a very important shift in mindset for translation work. It became more scientific. Numerous theories came up, translation theories. Especially one prominent figure is Friedrich Schleiermacher from Germany. He came up with the two methods of translation, transparency and domestication. That's kind of similar to what we talked about today as translation and transcreation, right? Transparency is simply making the link between the author and the reader very clear, very transparent, a clear translation, whereas domestication was meant to translate and to culturally adapt the text to a specific country or a specific audience. The 20th century then saw a lot of development in the translation profession. Translation schools were established all around the world, all around Europe, especially scholars like Eugene Nida and his dynamic equivalence theory laid the groundwork for modern translation practices. In the past, translators used to be praised for their work, right? They used to be put on a pedestal, but now in the 21st century, there was a trend of the translator reeling back a bit and going into the background. It's actually now it's considered better if the translator is almost invisible, right? You want to create the illusion that the text was written in the language that you translate in, whereas previously the transfer was really like praised and celebrated. Now you try to be as invisible as possible. So we are definitely people in the background. If you want to be in the foreground, if you want to be known by people, then translation might not be the best path to go down for you. I think authors are more recognized than translators, which in a way is good because our job is to create this fake invisibility, right? This illusion of the text being written in the target language. Still, give credit to the translators where credit is due, of course. Moving on to the present. In this chapter, we delve into the importance of translators in the present time and what role they take in a globalized world, in an interconnected world. Modern translators need to be more than just that, more than just translators, right? We are language professionals, language experts in a world where we need a diverse skill set. Being just a good translator is not enough anymore. Linguistic proficiency is just a given. It just needs, this is the baseline basically. And then you require subject matter expertise, cultural knowledge. You need to be a good mediator. You need to be technologically aware or even proficient in some cases. So our role definitely extends far beyond just translation. We need to really grasp the source text and create something out of it that works in the target. As previously mentioned, a modern translator needs to possess diverse skill set, one of them being technology. Computer-aided translation tools as well as machine translation have definitely streamlined the process, made it much more efficient, much more productive. But on the other hand, it has also lowered the prices. So while speed, efficiency, productivity, accessibility are all pros of technology and translation, it's important to be aware of the cons as well. There can be a lack of nuance, there can be rushed jobs, less personality, less human touch in the texts. There are privacy concerns for sure. There can be a lot of misinterpretation and false friends basically. So keep in mind, technology is not only pros but also cons, but the pros are of course big enough to pursue this in the industry and it will not go away anytime soon. I always promote on this channel that in today's world, translators need to be subject experts, so you need to specialize. The 5 most common translation specializations nowadays are marketing, legal, technical, medical and literary. On all of these 5 I made a specialized episode. I'm gonna put the playlist up here if you're interested. It's a very popular series on my channel where people can find out more about different specializations. So if you're not sure which one you want to go for, I have a lot of videos where experts explain the different aspects, so it's definitely a good resource for you to look into. Specialization for translators ensures accuracy, in-depth understanding of the subject matter. A lot of these very complex industries demand complex knowledge and specific knowledge. One thing that we can't forget in the chapter of present day translation is definitely the gig economy, the remote work. A freelance translator often works from home, mostly works from home. A lot of my colleagues don't have offices, they work from home, they're self-employed. That is a complete switch to what we are used to from past translators. And it has definitely changed how we operate. We can collaborate much better online. There are so many collaboration tools online that allow us to work directly with agencies, with clients, with other translators, team members. And this interconnectedness, is that a word? Yes, I think so. Allows seamless collaboration between teams, so that ensures consistency, of course. Past translator worked at a much slower pace because of the lack of tools to aid them, right? Translating larger volume text took much longer than it takes nowadays. It's much more labor intensive. Present day translator can work more efficiently, more quicker, thanks to computer-aided translation, machine translation input, more online communication tools available. So the communication with the PM, with the question and answers is much quicker. So the main difference between past and present translation is definitely technology and speed. Working with translation agencies, marketing agencies, supply chain managers is much more common nowadays than it was in the past. In the past, it hasn't even existed. However, many people in the industry are convinced, and I'm part of that group actually, that this agency model that we know now is really a thing from the present part, right? So it hasn't existed in the past and it might not exist in the future. Which brings us seamlessly to the hardest part of the video, of course, the future of translation. Simply the hardest because it's impossible to know. All the other things were based on fact because they happening or have already happened. The future of translation is going to be an outlook, a prediction from my side, but also from other sources. I'm going to put them all down below. So please just accept my opinion. You can have your own opinion, but this is my future of translation outlook. So let's stare a peek into the future and see how this ancient profession that we just looked back onto will shape itself, will develop in the future. Because as you know, the present translator is completely different from the ancient translator, right? So just because it's changing doesn't mean it's bad. So just keep that in mind. So don't despair. You can't hold on to the present. The future will come in inevitably. It matters a lot, and the change depends on how you deal with this change. So the keyword looking forward into the future, of course, like in every other sector, is AI. While AI this year is extremely overhyped and a lot has already slowed down in the middle of the year compared to the beginning of the year, suddenly when ChatGPT came out, it looked like humanity is doomed and AI is taking over already. But this hype has slowed down. People are more realistic now, and it will slow down even more going towards the end of the year. But it's undeniable that AI is here to stay. Generative AI especially is here to stay. Just know that the hype is slowly dying down a bit. But of course, AI and machine translations have increased rapidly over the past, let's say 15 years, but especially between 10 and 5 years ago, there was a big jump. 2016, 2017 marks the start of neuro-machine translation that changed how we look at machine translation now. So of course this raises questions about humans in the translations loop, in the workflow, right? While AI certainly can handle tasks with more speed than humans, more accuracy, we can't deny that, right? We don't need to compete with machines on speed. That makes no sense. There are still a lot of areas where translators can excel. For example, by providing nuance, by being creative, by adding emotional intelligence, by adding cultural awareness. All these things are becoming more and more important. Emerging markets and the globalized market, the globalized economy will open new doors, right? Untapped regions that previously didn't require translations will now require it. So people with very specific skill sets, very unique small languages will have more work to do, will create more opportunities, which in turn will create more crossover trade and communication. So will push the economy in that specific region. Translators will become even more important in the promotion of mutual understanding and respect, I feel like, between different cultures and linguistic communities. We will need to, however, continuously develop our skills and adapt to an evolving technology and market demands. So lifelong learning and staying up to date with the latest advancement in this industry is crucial to all of us, and I really urge you to do that. I briefly mentioned it before, the agency model as we know it now, I think will most likely disappear. That is one of the reasons why I'm not planning to evolve my business that I'm building here into the traditional agency. People ask me why I don't do that. That's exactly the reason. I don't see a future for this model in the future. I think only very specific, very specialized agencies will survive. One of the examples, for example, the Action Sports Translator by Martina Russo. It's so highly specialized, it's so high quality that this will, of course, I don't even consider that an agency, to be honest. I consider that a highly specialized language service provider. It's more the generalist agencies, the typical, they get the text, send it to the freelancer, send it back, send it to the client without much interaction between the freelancer and the customer. I think this model will be out of date soon. The time between a client wanting a translation and the client receiving a translation will virtually disappear. I don't think people will have the patience anymore to wait for a week or a month for a text, no matter how long it is. And we need to try to understand that. Everything becomes much more imminent, much more now. It needs to be ready now. And the same will happen with languages. And the technology is pushing in that way, right? The speed, efficiency, always now, quicker. And for a handcrafted translation, there is almost no time anymore. I mean, it's the same with any kind of product, right? That's why handcrafted things are more expensive. And some people value it and spend the money on it, and that will still happen with translation as well. But in general, people are more convenient. They want something now. If you have a problem, you want a new product of something, you go online, you order it with next day delivery, right? Because it's convenient. And the same will happen with languages as well. I could definitely see a world where there is a tool existing where a client writes a text, either a person or a machine creates copy, and simultaneously, while they create the copy, it is also created in German on my screen. And I, in my role as a, let's say, language optimizer, language architect, cultural mediator, cultural advisor, whatever my title will be in the language industry, I don't know what it will be, but my job is then with this created output to create the optimal text for a specific target audience. I also believe that audiences will become much more targeted, much more tailored, right? While efficiency is going up, we have more time to create the perfect target. So I could definitely also see a world where marketing texts are highly specialized to the individual, to the person, that every single person gets a different marketing text, marketing tool created to them. I mean, these are all things that we can't even imagine now, right? Because we don't know what will happen. But in theory, it's not that hard. Everyone carries a device, a phone or a laptop, and it's not that hard to understand the person, because we can already create a full profile of a person, right? And then it's relatively easy to use data to match to a specific profile and to match certain content to a specific profile. So while the text production process and the translation process become more efficient and more quickly and more automated, I could see myself become more of a role of a cultural advisor, cultural awareness mediator, just to make sure that this text reaches the right person. What does this person take away from this text? You know, like the mediator between text and audience. That's where I could see myself. Of course, it's always hard to look into the future and predict something. I think the next decade will still be pretty much the same for most of us, especially for if you're watching this and you are seeing this as a profession, you want to better yourself, become the best expert you can be, then I think you will be fine and will still go on pretty much the same for now, for the future, for the short-term future. Except for the average translator, the ones that don't specialize, the ones that see it as a side gig, that just want to make some money, probably offer like many different languages. These people, they will disappear. Sorry, my recording stopped. All right, just to finish this video, of course, I don't want to celebrate someone losing their job, right? That's never my intention. But for the first time ever, it's finally going a bit in the other direction, right? There has been an influx of translators, people calling themselves translators for so long, and they have pushed down the prices more and more because so many people offer this service. And now with the influx of technology, there is finally a shift. So it will finally make a large part of translators disappear, whereas we as professionals, as people who take this profession seriously, can shine. So that is kind of a good thing of AI, I would say. I don't know if you agree with me, but that is my opinion. I know it's hard, and sometimes it feels like all you can do is accept post-editing machine translation and low rates, but that is really not the case. I can promise you that. You are an entrepreneur, right? You have it in your own hands. You have a business. You're leading a business. If you feel like you are headed there in this direction, you need to change something. And if you say, "Oh, I don't want to change something. Translation is what I do. It's my craft." That's not how business works, right? Then you need to be employed somewhere. Then if you just want to do what you're tasked to do, then you need to be an employee. Then you can't lead a business. Leading a business means change, adapting to change. None of the big businesses that you know now did the same 20 years ago, right? It's always been adapted. In that sense, you really can't afford to rest on your laurels. Adapting to new challenges is definitely challenging. That's why it's called challenges, but it's also rewarding. What makes life interesting? It's what makes business interesting. Why would you want to stay where you are and not change anything? I never really understand this. Of course, it's convenient, it's comfortable, it's the comfort zone. But pushing yourself, being creative, finding more ways, different ways to make money, different ways to reach people, that's how you can succeed in business as well. And that's how you will succeed in the future of translation. There you go. Join me next week for the episode 3 of season 4 of the Freelanceverse. I see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.